life's not fair, is it? You see, I shall never be king. And you shall never see the light of another day.
What if everything you thought you knew about the Lion King was a lie? We remember Mufasa as the wise king and Scar as the jealous brother. But what if there was someone else pulling the strings all along, like a hidden puppeteer behind the curtain? Meet Uru, the mysterious mother of Mufasa and Scar. She's barely mentioned in the movies, but what if she was the real mastermind behind the throne of Pride Rock? What if her influence shaped the entire story we thought we knew? Let's dig into the clues and uncover the truth about Uru's secret role in the Pride Lands drama. What if there was someone else shaping the entire story of the Lion King we all know and love? Someone we never saw in the movies, working behind the scenes to control everything. What if that someone was Uru, the mother of Mufasa and Scar? We never see her, but she had to exist, right? What if Uru was actually the secret queen of Pride Rock, controlling everything from the shadows? Think about it. We've always focused on Mufasa and Scar's fight over the throne, but what about their mom? What if Uru was the real mastermind behind everything in the Pride Land? Maybe she had her own plans and used her sons to make them happen without anyone knowing. But why would Uru do this, and how did she keep it secret? What if she faced her own power struggles when younger, changing how she thought about ruling? Maybe she had to fight hard to become queen, or saw other lions try to take over, making her cautious and sneaky. What if Uru learned the best way to control things was to stay in the shadows? So what kind of lion was Uru, and how did she shape her sons to be so different? Mufasa was all about being a good king, while Scar was sneaky and selfish. What if Uru raised them that way to create the perfect balance of power? Maybe Uru saw something special in both sons, but knew they had different strengths. What if she encouraged Mufasa to be kind and fair, while secretly pushing Scar to be cunning and ambitious? What if her plan was to have Mufasa be the face everyone loved, while Scar worked behind the scenes? Think about how Uru might have influenced Mufasa's focus on the circle of life, while secretly teaching Scar to manipulate others. Maybe she thought Scar would use those skills to protect the pride in ways Mufasa couldn't. But what if Uru's plan backfired because she didn't realize how much her sons would resent each other? Maybe by treating them differently, she created the rivalry that tore the pride apart. What if Scar's jealousy wasn't just about the throne, but also about Uru's attention? And what about Simba? What if Uru had plans for him too? Maybe she saw Simba as a chance to combine Mufasa and Scar's best qualities. What if she encouraged Mufasa to teach Simba about being king so young? But then Scar's plan to get rid of Mufasa and Simba messed everything up. What if that wasn't part of Uru's plan at all? Maybe she never meant for things to go that far, and when Scar took over, it ruined everything she'd been working towards for years. Imagine young Uru, hidden in the tall grass, watching her mother plead with the king. The lioness's voice trembles, her words ignored as the male lions continue their discussion. Little Uru's eyes narrow, her tiny claws digging into the earth. In that moment, a spark ignites within her. She'll never let herself be silenced like that. As Uru grows, she starts practicing her tricks on the other cubs. She doesn't just ask for their food, she makes them think sharing was their idea all along. When they play, Uru always ends up as the leader, but no one realizes how she does it. She's becoming a master of getting her way without anyone noticing. But Uru's path to power isn't easy. Other lionesses want to be queen too, and Uru has to outsmart them all. She spreads whispered rumors, sets up clever situations that make her rivals look bad, all without ever getting caught. It's dangerous work. Rival prides and even members of her own pride start to mistrust her. Uru learns to always have a backup plan, to think 3 steps ahead of everyone else. All these experiences shape Uru into someone who believes true power comes from the shadows. Being the official queen isn't enough. Everyone would be watching, waiting for her to make a mistake. No, real power is whispering in the king's ear, pulling the strings without anyone knowing. When Uru becomes a mother, she sees her sons as her greatest project yet. In Mufasa, she sees the perfect frontman. Strong, noble, someone everyone will love and trust. But Scar, he's her secret weapon, the cunning schemer who can do all the dirty work behind the scenes. Uru's plan is even more complicated than that. She wants to create the perfect balance of power between her sons. She teaches Mufasa all about the circle of life, how to be a beloved king. But secretly, she's also teaching Scar how to manipulate and scheme. In Uru's mind, this is the best way to keep the Pride Land strong. Mufasa as the visible leader everyone admires. Scar as the hidden force taking care of all the messy stuff kings can't be seen doing. But Uru's perfect plan starts to unravel. She didn't count on how strong her sons team's own personalities would become. Scar's jealousy and ambition grow too big for even Uru to handle. Mufasa's sense of justice makes him resist some of her behind-the-scenes meddling. The brothers' relationship falls apart long before Scar ever plots against Mufasa and Simba. And what about Simba? Uru sees him as the ultimate combination of Mufasa and Scar's best qualities. He's her chance to create the perfect king, one who can rule openly but also understand how to use secrets and clever planning when needed. That's why she encourages Mufasa to start teaching Simba about being king so young. Uru's planning to secretly teach Simba some of her own tricks as he gets older. What if Uru's plan for her son started way back when Mufasa and Scar were just tiny cubs? What if she looked at her two baby boys and saw something totally different in each of them? Maybe she picked up little Mufasa and thought, wow, this cub is going to be so strong and brave. He's going to make an amazing king someday. But then she looked at Scar and thought, this one is going to be clever and sneaky. He could be really useful for the pride in a different way. What if Uru decided right then and there that she was going to raise her sons to be two completely different kinds of lions? Imagine a day when both cubs were playing near Pride Rock. Mufasa bravely climbed to the top, roaring loudly while Scar watched from the shadows, observing everything around him. Uru praised Mufasa for his courage and strength, telling him he'd be a great leader one day. But she pulled Scar aside and whispered how proud she was of his keen eyes and quiet nature, saying he'd be the pride's secret protector someday. Maybe this moment showed how Uru's plan was already shaping her sons differently. Uru spent a lot of time with Mufasa, teaching him how to stand tall and look regal. She told him stories about the great kings of the past and how they took care of everyone in the Pride Lands. But with Scar, she did something totally different. She taught him how to hide in the shadows and listen to other animals without them noticing. She showed him how to spot when someone was lying or trying to trick the pride. Uru thought she was creating the perfect team. One son to be the big, strong king that everyone loved, and another son to be the clever guardian who could outsmart any enemy. But what if Uru's plan started to go wrong almost as soon as she started it? Even though she was trying to make both her sons feel special in their own way, she was actually making them really different from each other. Maybe Mufasa started to feel like he always had to be perfect and strong all the time, while Scar felt like he had to be sneaky and couldn't trust anyone. What if this made it hard for the brothers to understand each other or even be friends? And what if Uru's different treatment of her sons made other lions in the pride treat them differently too? Maybe everyone started praising Mufasa all the time for being so brave and strong, but they kind of ignored Scar or thought he was weird for always watching and listening instead of playing and fighting like the other cubs. This could have made Scar feel left out and jealous of all the attention Mufasa got. So now we have to ask ourselves, did Uru's plan to create two different kinds of greatness in her sons actually end up creating the biggest problem in the Pride Lands? What if by trying to make Mufasa and Scar into the perfect team, she actually set them up to be rivals instead of partners? Maybe Uru thought she was doing the right thing, but she didn't realize that her sons needed to feel equal and loved in the same way. But here's the big question. Did these early seeds planted by Uru's well-meaning but misguided plan directly lead to the tragedy we see later in the Pride Land? So we've seen how Uru tried to shape her sons, but what if her plan backfired in ways she never expected? What if by trying to create the perfect team, she actually set Mufasa and Scar on totally different paths that would change everything in the Pride Lands forever? As Mufasa and Scar grew up, they started to notice how their mom treated them differently. Mufasa felt like he always had to be this perfect prince, always kind and brave even when he didn't feel like it. And Scar felt like his mom was teaching him to be sneaky and cunning, which made him think it was okay to do things that weren't so nice. This made the brothers start to resent each other as they got older. Mufasa started to think that Scar was always up to no good because of how he acted, and Scar thought Mufasa was just pretending to be nice to make everyone like him. This made them fight even more and trust each other less and less as time went on. Uru saw this happening, but she didn't know how to fix it without telling them about her secret plan to make them work together as a team. Maybe she tried to bring them closer, but it was too late. They were already growing apart and becoming totally different lions. But here's where things get really interesting. Uru's plan pushed Mufasa and Scar to become extreme versions of what she wanted them to be. Mufasa became so focused on being good and kind that he couldn't see when others were trying to take advantage of him, and Scar became so good at being sneaky and manipulative that he started to enjoy doing bad things and hurting helping others. Uru's plan actually made Mufasa too trusting and Scar too evil without her even realizing it. Mufasa felt so much pressure to be perfect that he became really stressed out and anxious all the time, but he had to hide it because he thought that's what a good king should do, and Scar felt so ignored and left out that he started to believe the only way to get attention was to cause trouble and make others feel bad. Uru's plan made them both unhappy in different ways, and that's why they ended up fighting so much. Uru's plan didn't just affect Mufasa and Scar, but also changed how the whole pride saw them, because Mufasa was always acting so nice and kingly. Everyone in the pride started to think he was perfect and could do no wrong, and because Scar was always sneaking around and being clever, everyone started to think he was suspicious and up to no good even when he wasn't. This made it even harder for Mufasa and Scar to get along because everyone expected them to act a certain way all the time. And when Simba was born, Uru's plan for Mufasa and Scar made things even more complicated. Mufasa was so focused on being the perfect king that he didn't spend enough time with Simba, and Scar was so jealous of Simba that he started planning ways to get rid of him even before he was born. Uru's plan actually made it harder for Simba to have a normal, happy cubhood because his dad and uncle were so messed up from how they were raised. Uru started to realize that her plan wasn't working, but she didn't know how to fix it. She saw Mufasa and Scar growing apart and fighting more and more, but she couldn't figure out how to bring them back together without admitting what she had done. She tried to make things better by spending more time with both of them, but it was too late. They were already set in their ways and couldn't change. Uru's well-intentioned plan had created a rift between her sons that would lead to tragedy and change the Pride Lands forever. What if Uru's plan for Mufasa and Scar came from something deep inside her that she couldn't explain? Shadows from her past made her treat her sons differently without realizing it. Imagine if when Uru was a cub, something scary happened to her family. Maybe there was a big fight with another pride and Uru saw lions she loved get hurt or die. What if that made her feel like she could never be safe again and had to always be ready for danger? Maybe Uru had an older brother who was strong and brave like Mufasa, but one day he tried to fight off hyenas alone and didn't make it. Uru watched helplessly as her brother was overwhelmed, his roars turning to cries of pain. What if that moment burned into Uru's memory like a scar on her heart? Every time she looked at Mufasa, she saw her brave brother and feared the same might happen to him. And what if Uru also had a clever sister who got in big trouble with the pride? Uru remembered the shame on her sister's face as she was forced to leave alone. What if that made Uru think being clever could be dangerous if you weren't careful? That's why she worried about Scar getting into trouble and taught him to be extra sneaky. These shadows from Uru's past followed her like silent ghosts, shaping how she raised her sons without knowing it. When Uru looked at Mufasa and Scar, she saw parts of herself and her family she loved but feared losing. She thought she was protecting them by making them different, but she was passing on her own fears and worries. What if every time Uru saw Mufasa being brave, it reminded her of good times with her brother, but when she saw Scar being sneaky, it made her remember scary things and how she learned to survive by being tricky? Maybe that made it hard to treat her sons the same way, even though she loved them both. Uru didn't know she was doing this. Her scary experiences were so deep inside that she couldn't see how they affected how she raised Mufasa and Scar. She thought she was doing the best thing for her cubs and the pride, but she was creating a big problem between her sons without meaning to. What if Uru's plan wasn't just about making a team, but trying to protect her cubs from what she went through? She thought if Mufasa was strong like her brother, but had Scar to help him be careful, nothing bad could happen. But what if that plan made things worse by making Mufasa and Scar feel like they could never understand each other? So we have to wonder, did these things from Uru's past really happen? Did they make her treat her son so differently that it led to the big fight between Mufasa and Scar? What if Uru's plan to protect her cubs ended up causing all the problems we see in the Lion King movies because she was so scared of losing them that she couldn't see how her own fears were pushing them apart? Uru's careful planning and secret hopes for her sons actually made things worse as Mufasa and Scar grew older. Instead of working together like she wanted, they started fighting more about who should be in charge of the pride. Mufasa thought he deserved to be king because he was the oldest and everyone loved him, but Scar believed he should rule because he was smarter and knew how to control things behind the scenes. Uru tried to fix it, but it was too late because her sons didn't trust each other anymore. As they got older, Mufasa and Scar saw each other as rivals instead of brothers. Mufasa thought Scar was always plotting something sneaky, while Scar felt like Mufasa was just pretending to be nice. This made them both angry and jealous of each other all the time. Things got even worse when Simba was born, because now there was a new cub who would be the next king no matter what. This made Scar so mad that he started planning ways to get rid of both Mufasa and Simba. Uru saw this happening, but couldn't stop it without revealing her secret plan. She felt trapped and scared because she knew something terrible was going to happen. Uru's plan actually made Mufasa and Scar worse at being leaders. Mufasa became too dependent on others, while Scar couldn't figure out how to lead openly. This made it even harder for them to work together as they got older. The other animals started to notice the problem between Mufasa and Scar. Some took sides, making the fighting worse. The zebras and giraffes liked Mufasa, but the hyenas thought Scar would be better because he promised them more. This split made everything more tense and dangerous. Uru's plan changed the whole future of the Pride Lands. By trying to create the perfect balance, she set things up for a big disaster. Her fear of losing control made her hold on too tight, and that's why everything fell apart. All the bad things in the Lion King movies happened because of choices Uru made when Mufasa and Scar were cubs. Uru's favoritism almost destroyed the whole circle of life. She thought she was protecting her family, but she put everything in danger. She didn't realize how her actions would affect everyone else. Her fear made her hold on so tight that she broke what she was trying to protect. The fate of the Pride Lands hung in the balance because of one mother's misguided love. So what if everything in the Lion King happened because Uru tried to make her sons great, but it all went wrong? Maybe the real lesson is that even good intentions can cause big problems if we're not careful. What if Uru's love for her sons actually set up all the drama we see in the movie? It's like she accidentally created this mess by trying too hard to control everything. Next time you watch The Lion King, look for hints of Uru's influence and see how it changed everything. It's a new way to watch the movie and think about how moms with the best intentions can sometimes cause trouble without meaning to. Was Uru's love both a blessing and a curse for the Pride Lands?